Let's see here. Looks like we are up and running. I was gonna say you'd be off to the side. That's what my buddy Shane does.
That's fine with me. I'm camera shy anyways.
Well, he sits off there. I just wanted to kind of turn where you could see, and it was still. And this is the only way that I can with my setup. Good morning, guys. How you doing? Hey, Ed. How are you? Morning, Todd. Mad Dog. Man, you guys are showing up in droves this morning. Yeah, that's what we're trying to do, is stay warm here. Good morning. I bet it is cold, though. Ed, it's cold up there for you, isn't it? I know it's pretty chilly this morning. It's 17. Hey, Justin just entered. That's weird because he's sitting next to me. Guys, how's everybody doing this morning? Hopefully staying warm. I've got a guest in the studio in the KVO today. Got Justin Flum. You guys have seen him in here on the page. Well, he's made the drive up from Prairie Grove to sit with me today and do some napping. So we're gonna work on a few pieces of stuff that he's brought and answer some questions and just have some fun napping. So if you guys, minus 21. Cody, man, we got here a few years ago. We had minus 28 was a record low here, and that was the night I thought we were going to lose our furnace. It made a noise that was rough, but yeah, we're supposed to get to, I think, -3 or 4 this week at some point, and then it's supposed to warm up. But hell, it's going to be 40 degrees today. That's why my body's mad at me. All right, let's see what we got here. I kind of changed the camera angle. It's going to be, I set in here so you'll check the reel feel quick. No, I kind of angled the camera here so Justin's sitting over here in front of me. We're going to work some material that he's brought here. Actually, don't need that yet. We're going to use get a little heavier hammer stone, something with a little bit more mass. I think this one should work. And that one right there. This is a piece of, looks like Burlington or a variant, what a lot of folks in our area would call high boom. And it's this can be heat treated, but it works really well raw. And you'll find a lot of the Dalton culture stuff in this area, they like this material because you could get it in sizes like this. You want to look it over when you first get it. There's seams on a lot of this stuff. Now what you can do, to see if those seams are solid, is you can just tap on that rock. And you hear the cracks coming apart. See that? With all that red clay and stuff in there. That iron is what makes that color, and that's where you get the pinks in this material when it's heat treated. But I'm not trying to take spalls. Watch your eyes too. If you have any glasses or anything.
I forgot to bring them actually. Yeah.
I was trying to think if I've got any.
I think I'll be all right.
Okay, well, I'm trying not to send them your way, so. Whoop. When this stuff is early stages like this, you can see how it's kind of crumbly. And I'm going to work off this crumbled end. I'm just watching this seam right here. Hey, Spiritual OG, I'm working a piece of, I think this is like a Burlington, it's like Boone formation stuff Justin brought over today. Michael, thank you for the follow. Hey, Cody. It says good morning to my guest as well. So, now this has got some seams in it, but the material, the parent material, looks good.
Yeah, the backhoe, when I dug it out, got me a couple chunks like that. Yeah, that's going to be perfect.
See, and that just took that whole edge down.
Man.
And you see, I didn't hit it very hard. That's where the percussion, you know, it spread out from there. So, come on, there it was. Just trying to catch the edge. Once I get it a little bit smaller where I can hold it in my hand, I prefer to work off my hand.
Yeah, that's a beautiful material.
See, and that had that's where that seam went in there.
Yep.
But this is the last little bit here we're looking to try to work off. So that's the continuation of that seam. And what it'll do a lot of times is that will kind of go off into the rock and you think, oh, well, it ends there, but it can start to split there and then the whole thing will split. So I always try to work, when I possibly can, I try to work with that crack or that seam. It looks like it tried to come apart there.
Right here.
Yep. It's trying to, and that's a lot of times it's easier to get them to come apart that way. Well, that one may have landed in the coffee. I don't think it did. A little roughage. Yeah, it's a pretty big rock, Don. It's a piece that Justin brought with him. Wanted to see kind of what it looked like and how it would covering up on my, there we go. You can feel the texture of this one. It's a real heavy, dense rock, but it's whenever you start grabbing sharper edges, I like a grab your handstone or sandstone because it, see how I just brush that edge and how that, for turning an edge like that, this seam right here is going to probably break right there. See, I'm trying to
see it open up.
Get the other side of it. See, and that came right down to the end of that, where that seam, and it looks like that's where that seam bottoms out. So now we've got a little bit more junk and trash up here. That'll actually make a little point off the end. I'll take the back of that off. So now I know I've got this material here. You guys can see it. Matt, we're just kind of bifacing some raw material. Justin brought this. I think this is a piece of. It's a Burlington reed springs. It's right in the edge of the top of the formation. It's what a lot of the old timers in our area call boon or high boon. And this stuff, if you heat treat it, would turn really nice pink, like a fuchsia pink color. But it's really bad about having these seams. And then the lesser quality material here. You can see this red stuff up inside that. We've got mass here, mass there. Take off that bad side right here. You see how I was holding that angle up instead of hitting it this way. So what you're doing is that you're trying to always think of this as being at the bottom of that. And that's what's resting on the leg pad. Or in your hand when you're holding it this way. Oop, more angle. See how those are just going right up that. And I'm hitting up above the edge. You see how?
Yes.
Not right on the edge, but that's the reason I don't have to grind quite as much in the early stages, is because I'm hitting higher on it. But once you get later on into the, like this one here, I'm going to hit right on the end of that.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not going to hit in, I'm just going to drag it and try to get it to kind of roll into this.
Mm-hmm.
Just like that.
Perfect.
You know, and well, because if I tried to drive a flake there, it was going to hit this area and it was going to kink, and then I got a problem. Now I've got
a step fracture or something is probably what would have happened.
Yep.
That's what would have happened to me.
And that's how you start getting that convexity built in there.
That's what I got to get.
And that's why, you know, so many new nappers, see, like right now, the way I'm seeing this piece, we've got a lot of mass in this area. From both sides, you can see how thick and drop down this is. And the biggest part of it is kind of in the middle of all that. Got a little bit of seam here. So we're going to isolate this ridge. And to do that, you're just going to bevel. Make sure I'm on camera here. So see how that just kind of turned over the top of that? Same thing. And then what you're ending up with, you see how it's like a, you know that little platform you made to pressure flute your Dalton? It's the same thing, it's just bigger. And what you're doing is you're isolating that ridge and that mass. And another flake there. Just, now that one stepped a little bit, but I was trying to get behind that to create an angle. Todd, thank you for subscribing. I appreciate it, man. I'm gonna try to stay back and forth with this. Justin's come up for the day, and we're gonna try to get as much stuff in as we can today. So I'll try to make sure I pay attention to what you guys are asking and stuff, and feel free to ask some questions if you've got them. Right now there's a little bit of a dip. See that right here.
So do you need to hit it a little higher? Is that?
Well, on one of these like this, what I tend to do when there's a flat spot or an area, especially with this, you notice I've been hitting it this way. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to slap this like in.
Okay.
Now.
Dadgummit.
So, but it's the difference in, and what it is the difference in the angle that it's hitting it at. Instead of hitting this way, and this is what I was telling you about, like on your Daltons, if you chip down, you get that steeper edge. You have to go in and down. Dang, I hit it right on the end of it, and wasn't even. And that's the same thing with your pressure flakes. It's the same concept, just a bigger tool and more force, and the difference. And you can see how that
helped out a lot.
Yep, and then we've got a ridge right next to it, and that'll make another point. I mean, we've got spalls coming off here that
I wouldn't have got maybe one. That's why I didn't want to hit it, because I was like, I'm just gonna get maybe 1 point out of this whole thing.
But see, like on this, you can see how sharp that is. Well, if you try to, there's a good ridge there, but most people will hit that without preparing that. Just where it's, you can hear how it gets smooth. It was rough, and then you're trying to make like contact with one specific spot right on that tip, just like that, just to flatten that out. Try to isolate this little ridge here. pretty isolated, but you can see how this still has got a lot of mass off to the sides of it. It's kind of like when I do the pressure flaking where I start at the end and then I go like this.
You want to set it up and get you a...
Oh, that one stepped a little bit. Well, it isolated it. We're going to slap this one too. And then you're using...
I might find me a rough like that.
Well, and they're, you know, I've got a few, I've used, here's another one that I would use, and you can tell by the wear patterns on them where I've hit down on this, but you can see where I slapped with the edges of it.
I'll feel the weight of that.
They're not super heavy on these. I like them to be a little bit.
This is mostly what I have in my creek.
Yeah, and you'll get, here's another good one that I've used.
That's been around some fire.
Yeah, I don't know if it's just, you know, I don't even remember.
Oxidized like that maybe, or
I don't even know where. I think that came from down near Mena, Arkansas. I've got a few, but it's like a red sandstone. It's just high iron content.
Well, normally when I have them around my fire pit, that's the color that these will turn.
Oh, I'll be darned.
Yep.
Well, and sometimes they'll get really chalky when they get dried out. But see this one, I like the texture of that actually.
Good tool. Go.
Trying to get into just a little spot there. Good morning, Kathleen. But I do like the heft of this other one better. Now see, this is one too. It was where everybody is always trying to, and you got to think about angles. Like, got an area of mass right here on this. Rather than trying to hit it this way, you turn it and tilt that. So you're doing the same thing I was doing over here. You're putting that on the bottom, and that way.
I struggle a little bit with that. Just my accuracy, I think, is the main thing.
Well, and that's the indirect, and we'll work on some. You might like vertical punches too. I've got like they call them peg punches or drift punches. But what I typically do is I try to get it down. We're going to go a little bit. Belinda, good morning. We're going to go a little bit more refined than this, and then we'll switch over to the punch once you get all these sharp edges like that. And see, I'm really, it's kind of a slap with it that way too. And you can see from my angle, see how that's angled this way? That's kind of how I strike anyway. And you'll find wear patterns on different tools, the way that they wear.
Yep.
And that's another way, if you're on a archaeological site or you find a hammerstone, you can tell how they held it and how they used it. And I've seen a few that had that slappy kind of bevel to it, and it got me to thinking about, the angle that you're coming in on that at. Because that's all this is, and we got the last of that little seam there that we're going to try to work out. But all this is physics. It's just angles, geometry and physics.
That's my biggest thing, is trying to figure out what angles and when.
Well, we'll work on some more of that today off camera. And see, we got now on something like this, when it gets like that sharper edge, and it's not the thinner the edge you're working off of, the softer and less dense of a percussor that you want to use. So you get down to this point. Brizzo says, Justin, are you learning him? Hey, Terry, good morning.
I'm doing my best.
It's not quite got enough oomph, though. We can use a bigger billet on this. but it's just like the punch. You know, I put the tip of that punch there, and then I would hit here. But you're just gonna see, and that's that crack that I was worried about. But we got a nice flake from next to it.
Yeah, I blow that whole thing up.
Come on, right there. Let's get it, pick it up here a bit. See, but you can do a lot of that dressing and pushing the flakes away with your grinding stone. That's why you'll see me a lot of times just
picking at it.
Seeing that little tiny, and look what it did to that platform. You see how that's now it's isolated?
Big time.
And I just did it some more like that. But you'll see how that platform's kind of scooped and it's not flat. You can't hit a hammerstone onto that unless you hit above that scooped area. If you hit on this with a copper bopper or something hard, it'll just rip that apart. So what you'd end up doing is either antler. Hey, Jake's in here this morning. Good morning, Jake. And we got spalls everywhere over here.
That's a good thing.
All right. I'm gonna tell you what, we're gonna get a larger punch because the more mass, I don't need to get into a tighter spot right now with that. You see how that's set up against there? Grind it just a little. This will be a big flake. Seeing that just flattened that whole edge out. I'll take this one this way and try to bring that angle down so that I can start working. This is almost like a square edge. So by taking this top of it, but you see that angle that I'm holding at? I'm not trying to hit it like this. I'm doing that, and it's going to run down that ridge. And see how that took all that mass, and instead of it being a big lopsided deal, now I've got convexity.
See, I would have went that way first because but that makes more sense to thin.
Well, because I've already got this; it's already set that way. You know, that's why I say use these spots that are already that way, because now, if you look, once that is removed, I can come back in on this side,
knock it down, drive one back up.
And it'll be a better platform and more isolated.
It definitely will. Be easier to take off. You've taken all that other mass off.
See, and then when I come this way, it's going to remove this area and give me, you know, just it's basically like zigzag. And again, I'm going to put that at the bottom. I'm supporting it back here, pushing in and holding it steady. See, and that came up this way. Now on this one, it'll probably come this way. And hopefully it'll trail into that, but it may not. But it did. See? So that square edge that we had. We got another spot right here, just a little, this is a little blender. See how that took that? And what we're ending up with, you're starting to get that real thin cross section. Still got a little of that seam.
Yeah, gotta get me a setup.
Well, but it's not just the setup. You could do this. I could do the same thing with the in or direct percussion.
You got to be more accurate too, though. Is the thing.
This and it's physically more difficult. I mean, this you can see I'm not hitting it very hard. I mean, it's There's the last of that seam. All right. See, as this loses mass, see how those little draggy.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, here's this one. I am not a taxidermist. I have a few skins and stuff like that, but I'm right on, Jake. Sounds awesome, man. I can't wait to see when you post it. All right, and we've still got enough mass in the end of this where we're gonna, I'm not taking as much chance of breaking it. It's still a pretty big rock. You let it get too thin, and then you'll get in shock, and you'll end up breaking it. And there, like I said, there's no guarantee that it won't break.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna keep the angled up like this, that area that we want to remove, pressing towards it. Right next to it. Another point.
Mm-hmm.
And see, that's the way that this material was broken down. I mean, look at all the cutting tools we've got.
I know.
This one rock, and we've got meat slicers and all kinds of stuff that you need right there.
Yep.
And we're ending up with, a nice biface.
Yep.
And we've got, looks like all of the seam out of that. So, got a little bit more here. Yeah, I know Ed Moreland real well, ORV. Ed's really good napper. I've had the opportunity to nap with him a couple times. He came down to boat art. Yeah, Ed Moreland. Super, super great guy. Makes some of the best wine and smoked cheese you have ever had in your life.
Love smoked cheese.
Oh, dude. Ed's got it down to a cold smoke, and him and his wife, but they also do homemade wine. So they bring, like blackberry wine with their smoke, and oh my gosh, we sat there eating cheese and drinking wine like a bunch of old, old stuck-ups or something, But that cheese goes well with that. But yeah, that was at Bodart. That was a lot of fun. I didn't catch that quite.
I've seen him on Facebook. Is that the guy with the glasses?
Yes.
Yes.
Does a lot of E-notches.
Yep.
And a lot of he's from Ohio area, so
Okay.
that's kind of their. That was a nice flake. See, now we're getting. And we've got another ridge here, and then I'll probably switch to the other side and start concentrating on that.
Wish I could find more.
Oh yeah, Cash. That's the smoked cheese, man. No, it's not Ed Mosier. It's Ed Moreland. I mean, not to say Ed Mosier's a good napper too. But yeah, if you're talking
cheese, it's the other one.
Yeah, it's Ed Moreland, because I have partaken in his wine and cheese. But super, super nice guy though. See, and I'm doing the same thing here as I did on the other side. I'm scooping that, making a spot where that tool can sit right there. We'll remove that mass. Then we're going to switch to the smaller punch here in a bit, because I don't need the extra thump. Across the tip of that, and you see we're Yeah, Ed. I don't know if Ed's a trapper, but yeah, Ed is an exceptional napper and just even better human being. I really enjoyed when I got to meet him and spend time with him. He's good friends with Jim Redfern, and Jim introduced me to him, and we all got to nap. Oh, it's been 2 or 3 years ago at Bodart. You see how I adjusted that and didn't try to go for that flake too soon because there was an overhang, and now that's, see it, and like same thing here. You see how there's kind of an undercut area. If you just try to drive a flake in, you're messing up your convexity. What I'm doing here is I'm just dragging these little flakes off.
Creating convexity.
See how that coming off clean or fairly clean? But you know, then I'm just picking off all these little spots on here, just the beneficial, you know, like a opportunistic.
Yep.
And see how that one created this one. Yeah, angle was wrong. There we go. See, there's an overhang right there. If I tried to drive into that, it's going to end bad. So I'm going to turn that angle up and bevel that. And in doing that, I just isolated the back side of that platform. I might get this one to come over and take some of this.
Looks like it.
I'm going to push.
So you pushed. That's a perfect flake too for a.
Yeah, that's another point. And we're not even done yet. There'll probably be another point or two.
That's my problem is I'm taking thin flakes all the time. It's like I'm getting a little thin flakes and I can't ever get a bigger removal like that.
Well, and it's the convexity. It's built in the right. Well, you saw the ridge and the way that you knew it was going to run over the top of that.
Yep.
And see, now we've got a spot here to come back, but you can see that's all kind of, there's no flat spots or no, you know, but you don't want to over grind or over chip this because you don't need a big flake. If you make too strong of a platform, then it takes more energy to detach that flake. So I'm just really easy. Just you can see how that's adjusting that, and it's making it, you know, little stronger, but not, you know, really overground or anything like that. See how I switched and flipped it, and then went. That's so you get those little drag off type flakes. Like here's another one. If I hit down on this gives it more energy. When I do that, it's just my hammerstone's busting up on me. See, that's almost like a big pressure flake, and the way that they tail in there. Now that's a great example. That one I hit down on, you see how the cone is a little deeper, but the one that I hit here was flatter, and that's because of the way that the direction or the way that energy went through it. See, and the whole time what we're doing, we're building convexity towards this face, or to flake off this face, and then when we come back, we've got, this will be convex because of this series, doing the same thing, and you just do back and forth. It's just like if you're pressure flaking a biface, you know, like a little arrowhead point. Yeah, unfortunately, this is going to be another one of my well-loved hammerstones that's going to go away. It's starting to chip on me. This is the one that broke the other day, and it's just about worn out. you hear the way it grabs that though. This
Definitely
is
different for sure.
yes, and that different texture, it's harder, so I need to slow this one down just a little bit when I hit, because if you hit too hard with it being a harder texture, it will blow through the platform. Oh, that was a chunky one. I don't know why that happened. But we should be able to get most of this. That's what I was setting up for, was to try to get another nice removal right across the middle.
And you're pushing hard.
That one I was, but I was trying to get it to climb that. It's like a little bit of a
Seam or something.
a seam where that went down, and that may be an issue in a second. We'll find out. Switch to the smaller punch so I can get into little tighter spots with it.
That's my problem, is all my bigger stuff I'm having to do this instead of
you
hitting it. And
that, or you have to
more
isolate it so much you lose a lot of material.
Yes.
And that's the reason I like to switch to a smaller tool. All right, Deer Trail. Kenny, have a good day, man. So I'm going to, rather than work in this area, I want to make sure I'm working from the tip to keep this thinner than this area. If I started here, I'm going to end up with a big, it's going to be narrow and thick.
Yep.
And that's where it's going to want to break. So just like pressure flaking, I'm going to start at the tip up here, near it anyway, where that first, let's try this one here. Get it started. That should give me the angle there. Why is that not releasing? There it went. See, I was just trying to climb over the top edge of that.
Just knock that little bit of high spot off though.
And then I can start doing my, like a zigzag type pattern. There we go. Well, it's not liking this antler very much though. It's not reacting the same way. Yeah, that was a seam because it's way out into here. All right, so before I hit another one into that,
You'll have to come off the end, you think?
I do, and I want a bigger punch for that, because I don't want to. I want something that's gonna, like, there's a vibration to the smaller punches, and you have to hit it harder. You're putting more force into it. Well, you can see this is kind of. I'm gonna be asking a lot of this spot. Hey, thank you for the follow. I didn't see it's a deer antlers there. I appreciate it. Oh, looks like I got a couple of follow. Thank you guys so much. Sorry, we're just working on some raw local stuff here today that Justin brought with him, and trying to see if we can end up with a decent little biface out of this piece. The material's working real good, and if you got access to a lot of this is. I wait for the lake to go down.
Sad thing is, I dug about a dump truck load out of my boat ramp, so I won't have to dig it out again for a couple of years.
All right, now this, you know how we talk about like the topography and how. Jake, I think this is a Burlington, or what people in our area would call a high boon. It's kind of like right between Burlington and Reed Springs. See, I'm gonna, if it'll run that seam, something like that. And what it does is it runs along. Let me show you guys. It's almost like looking at a topo map, and where that flake detaches, usually it's not going to get much deeper than that area, and it's going to taper out to that. So that's best case scenario.
Real close.
and it went right down the tip. It didn't spread here like I wanted it to, but this side it followed. I just thought it would go this way, but what you can do, Dave, good morning. Now there's a little bit of a hump there, and I'm bending the rules a little bit, but I think it's gonna go.
Perfect.
See, and there's the rest of that seam. All right. Monty, thank you for the follow. I appreciate it.
Reed springs, can it be black and tan? I've got a really nice piece of a ridge that an Indian had knocked off of a big chunk, and I meant to bring it because I was proud of how I thinned it down and didn't lose any length or width off of it.
Yeah,
but
some of that stuff's really good to work with.
It's awesome. Like, I was just pressure flaking it, and I was getting big old flakes, and I was like, oh my goodness, this is a dream. If I could find I found 3 pieces where he had knocked it off, just sitting right there, I guess, walking, and knocked a few pieces off.
How big a rock is it?
It was just it was a strip. It was just off of a ridge that he knocked off.
Like one of these ridges, like
yes,
something like that.
Yep, except it was like this long, and it was it was about that tall. But I've got it thinned down, and I was amazed how easy I did it. And
well, then that material's probably somewhere close.
yeah, that's what I'm thinking. It's got to be because I found a bunch of it, but I don't know where it's coming from.
So now here we're gonna. You see that little ridge right there? Right down the ridge. Let's see. This rock is not liking this antler as much, or I have to hit it a little harder. It's raw, tough. I mean, it's tough, you know. But that's one of the things I like about it is you're able to work it. You can hit it, you know, without fear of breaking it as much. And a lot of the really glassy stuff, if I hit it like I'm hitting this, it would break. It would shatter it up. DJ, thank you. Yeah, that's kind of that's why I love it. It's kind of my little chill out zen spot out here. You know, listen to some music and got an incense burning and just chilling out here talking rock shop. How's everybody doing today? Got a few people in here. Thank you guys for coming in. Sorry I haven't been interacting too much with the camera. I'm spending some time with Justin today. He came up from Prairie Grove just down south of here. A little more angle. See that tiny bit of difference in that. And now there's one set right up next to it. And see, these aren't big, huge flakes, but what they're doing is you see how that's... This is the stage where I think a lot of people go a little crazy and they try to take too big of flakes.
That's me.
Because this is when we're going to set this up to, you know, we're building the convexity so that last pass that we come through. Hey, Zach, good morning. How are you doing? Just sitting here doing some napping with Justin. See, and it's about the convexity that had. And I just set it up. You see how that had like a lens shape with a ridge.
Yep.
Now there's another one right next to it, but you don't want to you got to take it back a little bit to line that back up. I'm going to try to, it'll kind of curl around that a little bit. This is not going to be as long a flake, and I've got it angled this way and not straight trying to keep that ridge at the bottom. About another degree, right? Okay. Now whenever that happens, it crushed a little bit on me and it tried to flake. You see how that?
Mm-hmm.
If you hit that again without fixing that, it's just going to do it again and you'll end up with a big spot right there.
I do that a lot.
So I just move over just a little. I'm going to go at a lower angle and not be real greedy and just a crisp pop. Just try to blow through that so that, see how I cleaned that up? I wasn't trying, because I can come, I've got, you know, a way to get at this way. If you trying to be too many quick hero shots, that's when it really gets, it'll bust you up. Electro, thank you for the share. Sionda, thank you for the follow. I appreciate it, guys. Yeah, it's 17 or 16 here this morning. Right on, Todd. Thank you for coming in. Like I said, guys, I'm trying to make sure I'm acknowledging you in here, but I don't. Jacob, thank you for the follow. I appreciate it. We're getting close, guys. We get to 5,000 follows on the channel. I'm gonna give this one away. Mail it off to one of my followers. So thank you, guys. I appreciate it. -9 degrees. Woo. Yeah, somebody said it was -20. Travis, good morning. They had -20 up north somewhere. I said, yeah, they can have all that they want. Okay, I'm gonna come at it from this side just a little bit and then try to. That's what I figured would happen there. That's why I didn't want to need to. See, I've got that little nub right there. Now I'm not trying to, this is not a big flake, that's just one of those little blender ones.
Just trying to get up to that spot.
Just to try to build convexity towards it.
Okay.
See now how that blends into that spot? Instead of driving into it, it would have done the same thing, and then I'd have this big issue out in the middle.
That's normally what I do. Double it up or triple it up.
Yeah, and you know, yeah, and if you try to go, you know, you'll hear me say every once in a while, I'll push the limits when it's early on, but once I get later at stages, you have less and less opportunity to fix stuff like that. So I get a little bit more cautious and a little bit more good fishing weather, huh? Yeah. Yeah, if you like ice fishing, something I've never done, but I fished when I had ice on my rod from how cold it was. Fished a few tournaments doing that.
That's the best time to fish when it's cold for me, anyways. Crappie fishing. That's my thing.
Oh, you like to crappie fish?
Yes.
Oh, we're gonna have to get together in about a month and a half.
I got live scope, everything.
No way.
I put my bait right on her nose, and
I got a buddy of mine that lives up on Lake. Was it Stockton? No, is it Lake? Not Lake of the Ozarks. Is it Stockton? That's up near Warsaw, Missouri.
I'm not sure about that one.
Well, it's a fantastic crappie lake, but he's got that live scope, and he was showing me. Went around a tree, and you literally can. It looks like a Matrix version of the tree, and all of a sudden there's a crappie sitting there going like this, and he goes, "Watch this," and he goes, "Dink," and I said, "You gotta be kidding me! It's like a video game."
Yep.
Truman, thank you. Yeah.
Yes.
Lake Truman, and it's well known for
yes.
For
I've definitely heard of that lake. Crappie.
Yeah, Warsaw is Truman. Thank you, Jake.
Yes.
Yeah, it's one of my buddy, that and wipers, the hybrids. I've got a video I'll show you later of me catching on a 4 or 6 pound test. We were fishing for crappie, and I hooked into about a 5 pound hybrid white bass, or wiper they call them.
Yep.
See, I hit that one through it. I hit too hard on that thin edge, and it blew it. It crushed it. Crushed it. Not in a good way. Oh. I was like, I put a cone in it right there. Well, I can fix it. I just got to come at it from a different angle now.
That little chattered spot right there, is that what you're...
Yeah, see how it, when I hit that the first time here, it's like I've hit it and probably coned it or something. And it doesn't look horrible, but at this, you know, that right there, if you keep doing on that, it's going to build a big stack. And it's at a spot up at the tip where, you know, I don't want to lose a lot more material.
So are you going to raise it back? Or
Yeah, so well, I'm roughing this off just a little bit right here behind it. I'm going to try to drop a, you know, just like a little blending flake just right behind it.
And that's like just that. To knock that.
Did you see that? Just that little flake. Now what that did is now I've got that spot right behind where that flake came off. I'm actually going to take another one right there because I need just a little bit more angle. See those? And now I'm going to set that right on top, just behind that, and go downward, not in but down. Yeah, see, there's a seam in there because it's all right. Well, let's see. Right here. And this is part of what I like about napping too, though, is you get all these the puzzles.
That's how I've learned. What I've learned is just taking the really messed up pieces and trying to smooth them out the best I can. And
well, and that's what it takes the longest. Yeah, there's a few, Jake. There's a few nap ins in this area. Well, I don't know if this is what you're called Midwest. We're Southern Midwest, but we've got, I know of several in Missouri. All right, now this, we're going to try to use that convexity. You can kind of see this ridge right here, and I'm going to isolate it just a little bit. Don't take too much here because I don't want that to run into that ridge. There we go. See how that little flake right there, it kind of set that ridge? Now, I'm going to tilt that because I'm trying to put this ridge at the bottom. Now that got the back side of that trouble. That's fine. That's all we needed to do, really. Was just, it came up and took that biggest stack out of that. Because now I can do the same thing I was trying to do over there a while ago. Let's set that right behind that. See, and now we're back on track, and all we got is a little dimple there. It'll be really easy to fix. Caveman science. Somebody said something, and I said, "Yeah, oh, Caveman Crafts. Thank you for the follow. I appreciate it." Yeah, we're just working through some material. I got Justin. Normally, you guys will see him in here. Justin Flum. He's come up from where he lives in Prairie Grove to spend the day and do some napping. So he brought some material he had some questions on, and that's what we're working through. This piece here had a few seams and some stuff when we first started. Starting to work down to a really nice biface. We're getting really close, and we got a whole bunch of spalls and arrowheads laying around here that came off of it. So let's see. You heard me right. But it's the same thing that I do, you know, when I'm doing with the pressure flake, and I'm setting that up. Now you see that we've got a ridge and how that flattened that whole base area off. So then, instead of going straight into it, I'm going to take one at an angle. See how that set that ridge, how that flake really like that? Dennis says, "Hey Justin,
what's up?"
I'm just going to make this one a blender with this. Just kind of slap it, kind of blend it into this area. I don't want it to drive too far in there. See, just like that. Just how that kind of kept that convexity going. If I would have tried to drive it too deep in there. See, then we got another ridge here, a little ridge there. Now at this point, I don't want to drive them in there. I'm just going to tilt that up. See that little blending flakes. That one lipped a little bit, but then I'm doing the same thing with this that you'd almost do with a pressure flaker or something else. See those little flakes coming off there? It's not grinding, it's, see how that little tiny,
Just raising it.
There's a little tiny nub right there and another one right there. And that's, I'm just going to set that right on the tip of that. Look at this flake. Then there's the secondary one. That goes right into that one. Jess, thank you for the follow. I appreciate it, and for sharing the live. See, now we're going to come down this face this way. Because we've got the convexity built. And you can see what that just did to that whole deal. And now we've got it where we'll set it up, come back this way, and they'll meet, and this will be super thin. Yeah, Dennis, I bet it is too cold to be out there putting up siding. Thank you, TYR Graham. I appreciate it. Yeah, we're doing a little stone and bone napping this morning. And like I said, I like to keep all those clean while I'm working. So any of these little, see, there's that right there, that thin spot is a place that could propagate a crack and break that, even if it's not my fault, just the vibration of going through the rock. So what I do is I'll just go back,
make sure it's dull
those edges, and then as you're dulling those, what you'll see happen is see how it'll kind of prepare a little platform. And these are just blenders. They're not like, I'm not trying to drive a flake in or anything like that. It's just to get that to go in there and keep that edge like I like it.
And they're a little high anyways if you were trying to, is that right?
Yes. And all I'm doing, like I said, is just trying to
blend them into that.
See, and just kind of blend that together. Got a little bit off the base here. And these aren't big flakes. They're just
kind of keeping it consistent.
Yeah, because the more even you keep the... Uncle Cracker, if you want to check it out, I've got a video on my profile. Let me see if I can get this right here. Go right up here, right there. Click on this, on my name, and there's Tony, thank you for the follow. I've got a video posted on how it's set up. And then if you've got any more questions, come back in and I'll be happy to answer them. See, this takes the place of a lot of my pressure flaking.
I haven't crossed the train track since I left Pine Bluff.
Huh?
That train track I crossed up the road, I haven't crossed one since I left Pine Bluff. I haven't even heard a train since I left Pine Bluff.
No kidding?
Well, they run all through there.
Yeah, we twice a day here, usually.
I was kind of amazed when I coming down that gravel road. I was like, is that a real train track or is it just somebody's property?
Oh, it is. Yeah, but Mom's place, which is going to be, that's my, Mom's already, that's my inheritance. Goes back to the railroad tracks. The way it goes around, it goes all the way back to the edge of the railroad tracks.
Wow.
We've got 70 acres.
Okay, that's awesome.
Lots of, well, coming in, you pass the Pea Ridge Military Park up there.
Yep.
Well, that's 1 mile.
Okay.
And
Oh, you got stuff.
oh, they were, well, down here off of Sugar Creek Road.
Mm-hmm.
There's a little annex that they call it, where there's entrenchments up on the bluff line, and that's probably 1.5 miles that way, and we're kind of in between. It's all along the Old Wire Road. You've heard them talk about the Old Wire Road. Well, that's right down here off Sugar Creek. As part of that, it cuts across and goes between there and the military park, and then cuts through the military park. So
I just wonder. I've got some really weird stuff on the backside of my property.
well,
I wonder if it's entrenchments. It's gotta be.
Well, we'll go up there when the weather gets nicer. I'll show it to you. There's you can see right along the edge of the bluff line where they've dug out, and it's just a ditch.
Yes.
And it's right along the top side of the bluff. And what they do, of course, they're laying in there with their guns over the top on that rock bluff. But yeah, I bet you're right.
I can't figure out what in the world, and it's man-made. Either the Indians did it, or it was done during the Trail of Tears, somewhere around that area, and the Civil War just somewhere.
Yep.
And I'm probably less than 1 mile from the battlefield.
So that's crazy. Yeah, I'll show you on the map here in a little bit. But see you've seen my videos of the deer and stuff. I mean, you know how those military parks, there's deer all over them.
Yep.
Well, I've got a dozen that I see daily here on this side, and then that side there's another herd that comes in from. I mean, we're run over.
That's how we are.
Last year they tore our garden up.
Yep. You get my apple trees and everything you can get a hold of.
I've got an apple orchard started in the bottom down there where we call it the village. That's where my events are going to be at or starting at. I've got Arkansas Black and 4 Honeycrisp apples in a little grove, and then a couple of peach trees started. And I told Jenny, I said, that'll be where my deer stand is, because come fall, those apples start dropping. Buddy, that is a magnet like no other. And the mushrooms like apples, apple orchards. That's another one of their, like sycamores around here. Well, apple trees, old apple orchards, if you can find them that are overgrown, usually are good morel spots. Yeah, well, you can see my mushroom sticks over there. I'm an avid.
Wow.
I
am too. Yep.
Yeah, I've got some spots out here, dude, that are just phenomenal. Some on our place, but
I had a few that got run over by subdivisions. So,
well, anymore there's so many people that are coming in and doing it commercially. And you got to, in the public spots, you've got to fight against these people. I mean, seriously, like over east of here, I've seen them where they pull up and they've got back. I mean, they're going through the woods like it's their job.
Yeah.
But they're making, I forget what it is, a pound off that
crazy
stuff. And I hate it because, I mean, I understand people trying to make a living and all, but you start going to places that people have hunted for forever and start picking out their spots, it kind of sucks.
It does.
Because I grew up, well, you're a crappie guy, so crappie and morels, in the springtime, there's no better food. I mean, they're just not.
Yep.
Oh,
I never knew what a morel was until I moved up here, 12 years ago. And I found one, and
oh, dude,
I was like, oh man, that's good.
When you're frying up crappie and then just drop your morels, your breaded morels in there with it.
Oh man,
we're gonna have to do some of that.
Yeah, we'll have to.
Because now, I don't know, you saw the kayaks there on the front porch. Now, with my dog, I haven't done a lot of going away traveling since she's gotten, so bad. But Jenny and I do a lot of kayaking in the summers, and then I love to spring kayak crappie fishing.
Oh, wow.
Oh, dude, well, you know where Blue Springs is? Down off 412? That whole area down there in the springtime is insane for crappie.
Wow.
But there's a spot down there. Well, I don't know if you're familiar with the Blue Springs. Somebody said they pick up. Don, you pick up 30 pounds of those a year? Man, that's awesome. Yeah, Zach, I bet you're picking them up in Missouri. Yeah, Don, I like the chicken of the woods and the chanterelles also. We've got all that here. I've actually I think got some dehydrated chanterelles from last year in the freezer. We dehydrated them. They're almost like, they remind me of like clam strips when they're cooked up. They're kind of chewy. And that climbed right into that little deal. But see this little ridge right here, and it butts up to that. Just put that right on the end of that. Make sure I'm in the right spot. I'm gonna push in. I'm not pushing hard, just holding it in place. Now that broke. There it went. Just grabbed a little farther over the edge on it.
You're still just blending all that in, meeting that convexity and tying it all together.
Yeah, because we're building that base now. That's not a very good flake right there. See, now I use that to kind of set up a little ridge right there. Hopefully I can get that to go right behind that. Yeah, I tried to. Yeah, I got most of it. I can get the rest of it from over here. We'll make a Dalton out of this or something. That'd be a later. I mean, we'll work on it, but that'd be the correct material for it for sure. Because like I said, it's working consistently. Yeah, Brizzo, I'm kind of with you. We get these super late cold temperatures. It may set our morel season off just a little, and the crappie for that matter. Because
change it.
Oh my gosh, because we're supposed to get negative temperatures, and now, well, like I said here a few years ago when we got that minus 28, it was in February, but see those little. Yeah, I'm hoping it doesn't mess it up too bad because I'm ready for some fried crappie for sure. That, and I've got a recipe for a smoked crappie dip that a guy gave me. Ooh.
Wow.
Oh, it's amazing.
That sounds good.
Put those crappie fillets on your smoker, and then it's basically like you shred them up after they're smoked. That old crappie will just flake apart, and then you mix a little bit of mayonnaise and some other seasonings and stuff, and then eat them on crackers. Oh my God, it's pretty good stuff.
Be like a crab salad or something.
It is real similar to that. See how this? I'm not doing that. It's not real aggressive, and it's just kind of
changing the angle.
yeah. And you can see how that
adjusting the edge.
Yeah, it's kind of pushing it down, and then now at this stage I'll start. We've got some ginseng here, Zach. Not a lot, but there is some. Undisclosed locations, but there is some. See if I'm doing the same motion as that. I'm putting it up against there, and then I'm pulling down on a gradual. It's not you're not going like that, because what you do when you'll bust through a platform. It's just like hitting it too hard. So I'll put it up against there and then start pulling it and let it. It's kind of like it's kind of like when they teach you to shoot a rifle. You squeeze the trigger until the gun goes off. Well, that's what you're doing with this, is you're putting that on that edge and pulling until that, and what you'll get is a cleaner removal. If you try to force it off there before it's ready to go, you put too much force in it, and then you end up with step fractures and stuff like that. Yeah, there is a lot of money in it. That's the reason that, of course, what little we have around here is mostly, it's not saleable. There's not enough of it to make it worth that, but for personal use and that kind of stuff. Hey, well, hello from Northwest Arkansas, Panama. ¿Cómo está? See, we're doing the same thing with this that we were doing with the punch and the thing, but this is just a little bit more. See how that edge is slowly turning to where this area of mass, and we've already got it fairly flat over here, and then we're going to do the same thing to this side as I'm doing. It's just taking those flakes this way, and the secret to getting a nice thin point is that Absolutely, Zach. That's what I say for personal use. There's a lot of, we've got elderberry here on our place. We've got all kinds of the, the stuff that everybody's looking for, and not enough that it would be worth somebody coming in and stealing it, but enough for personal use for sure. This is working down pretty good. It's been a while since I worked a good, like a local tough piece of stone. Kind of helps remind you.
I made 1 point out of it that I had, and it wore my hands. That's the only one that I've made. Well, I made 2 points out of just stone and antler, and that was one of them.
Well, you can see though that, I mean, I've got arthritis, dude, and it's not about the strength. You see how, like, the compression, I'm using different.
Yep.
Most everybody uses these muscles.
Yeah.
And I'm not using my hands as much as I am.
Yeah.
It's a compression.
Yeah.
I'm putting it up against there, and then I'm like this with this arm. And then when you want, hey, Dennis, thank you, I appreciate it. When you want a little bit bigger, like if you're trying to load that up to run a longer flake, what I typically do is I'll put the point of that flaker there, and then I lean into it, and then pulling back this way, so you're creating like a compression, and then when that flake comes off, and you can see these are, and this is not even the best profile for those kind of flakes, but once you get your convexity built, those flakes will come off there just like almost like an indirect flake. I don't understand working a stone edge that wouldn't last very long. Why not flint or better? Not quite sure I understand what you mean, Runestone Jones. I use these tools. Well, I don't have my knife over here. I've got it in my basket, but I use these tools for all the crafts that I do, and they'll last. If I use them every day, a couple 3 weeks, but used sparingly. I've got knives that I haven't had to resharpen in months. It's and we don't have flint in North America. It's the closest thing we have to flint here is Georgetown chert, but technically there is no flint in North America unless it was brought here. Now there is some that show up. Nice weather for wallet there. Not sure I understand what. Turn the camera a little to the left. Okay. My left or your left, or which left here? Wait, more that way? Is that better? Oh, nice. I see what it's nice leather for a wallet there. Got you. Yeah, this is some tough stuff. This is I think this is moose hide, if I remember it correctly. But is that better, Brizzo? See, now, like right here, instead of going in, you see how that's kind of like a little scoopy or undercut? You want to take this up here, and now it's set a little bit of a ridge, and we're not going to try to be greedy. You just take downward, and see how that's a little bit sharper cone? It's not going in, but each one of those successive flakes is flattening that out and building me some convexity. And as soon as that one was close to stepping, so I'm not going to take any more of that direction like that, or I'll end up with a
longer step.
But by doing that, you see how that kind of brought this way. And now I've got a spot back here. What am I doing with the stick? Are you talking about this right here? It's an indirect. an indirect flaking tool that I kind of modified from some other guys' stuff that I've seen. Let's see, there's like a low spot in between where I'm hitting. You don't want to take flakes here or try to drive them. You're just gonna, you take your downward flakes
just real sharp and
that way, and then go to the other side of it, and same thing. And see how now this spot is kind of out and isolated, and then take that flake, and see how that. If I'd have taken it in order, it would have stepped, and then I would have had to try to fix that. So you're always looking to, even on a soft limestone or similar. Yeah. Well, this is not limestone. This is actually chert. It's very sharp. I'm striking it or grinding and chipping the edges with a piece of sandstone. Not quite sure what they're getting at, but all right. So I'm gonna take a flake here. You see where that punch is, right on the edge of that. Just a nice quick. That one shattered a little bit. Yeah. When that happens, and it does happen to everybody, is now I've got convexity that I've built here. So I come back. What is that one commercial? Like it never even happened. Okay, now I've got a little bit of a ridge here.
there it went.
Okay, another one next to it. Small blending flake. Another small. See how those are just tapering right over the edge of that. Not looking for big flakes because that one tried to, and see how it started to step? Hey Mike, how you doing? Me equals free says, hey Justin and Aaron.
Hello.
Chase Martin, how you doing? Now Mike, it's good to see you in here this morning. Have you got some stuff figured out with your rig? Hanging in there. Well, I'm glad to hear that. Now it's getting a little bit thin up here to be hitting on it too much. So if I can pull those flakes off, I will. That crushy sound is not good.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, that's you. I was gonna say that's the one I use for my wife's text tone.
Yeah, that's my wife's taste.
That's funny. You know what we're really seeing? Well, what is it that you're really seeing there, Runestone Jones? Where is Outlaw? I don't know who Outlaw is. Don? Unless Justin's got an alter ego he hadn't told me about.
Nope.
Now we're just hanging out and working a piece of rock here. I can get him done. Stone. I know, I haven't either. We need a mod. What do we need a mod for, guys? Is somebody trying to be a jerko in here? Well, Don, well, you may not be because you, well, I appreciate it, guys. Yeah, you're going to find them. Haters going to hate, right? What I never understand, though, thank you, Brizzo. I appreciate it. Briar, thank you for the follow. Yeah, I just don't understand, though. It's just one of those that, you know, that just right off the bat, this. Well, you're fine, Runestone. I mean, it's obvious that you don't know what the hell you're talking about. You know, I mean, you want to go look at my work, go check out my profile. You'll see that I do know what I'm talking about, and it is a genuine point. I'm making it as we speak. The definition of an artifact is something that has been shaped by human hands. It's not an ancient artifact. It's a modern one, but it's an artifact nonetheless. So, you know, if you're of the thinking that, you know, it's not real, it's fake, whatever stuff, then you're on the wrong page, man. And I encourage you to go find somebody else to watch. You know, I don't want to be rude about it, but, you know, it's just painfully obvious that you don't know what you're talking about. And I feel bad for you.
Side did good.
See, I've got a little bit more here, and then I can come back and get those. But yeah, I never understood why somebody would come into one of these and be text typing and go toe to toe with somebody who has the verbal, you know, deal going on, and it's kind of a losing battle.
Mm-hmm.
AR Artifacts, hello, how you doing? Sorry guys, I didn't mean to be, you know, just never understood why somebody's got nothing better to do than to go in and start being a jerk on somebody. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. This is a piece of local, I think it's Burlington or a Burlington Reed Springsy kind of material. The old timers in our area call it Boone or High Boone, and it's out of the Boone Formation. So, but really nice working rock. I mean, it's consistent. We got through most of the seams and the cracks and the stuff that was in it. So now it's just a matter of getting the final shakedown. I think we're going to do a Dalton out of it. It'll make a pretty decent, you know, 3 1/4, 3.5 inch Dalton, something like that. So just hanging out, you know, putting up with all the haters. Butte, something there. A lot of the you're a stonemason there, Runestone Jones, and it has nothing to do with flint knapping. You know, stonemason work is completely different. So I appreciate your opinion, but that's just what it is. And my coach told me that everybody, you know, it's kind of like buttholes. Everybody's got one and they all stink. So enjoy your stinky opinion and move on. Oh, I absolutely have photographer Nash. I have cut myself a bunch doing this. It's next to impossible not to. If you handle enough of the rock, you are going to get cut by it. See how we're. Yeah, well. Like I said, guys, I don't want to be a jerk about stuff, but you know, I mean, there's no that right there is the reason that I have off-limit subjects on my lives, is because that person right there, you know, they're everybody's entitled to their opinion. I don't. If you got an opinion, that's fine, but you know, if you don't like what I'm doing or how I'm doing it or anything about it, all you got to do is just go like this, you know, just flip one time. You know, it's a lot easier than typing out a bunch of rude crap that, you know, is no need for it. So, anyway. Now you can see I got that set up more towards this. Probably use a little bit more right there. I'll take one more pass, and this is one of those things where I could probably take those flakes. They're going to be deeper, and it's going to take a lot of material. So anywhere where it's kind of lowered like this, is I'm going to just, I'm just going to go back in and just keep working that, and you see how this is going to taper this in. It's going to give me a really nice. Anytime you come up with you see how, same thing, a chip, 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 isolated area mass. Now, even though it's not as big or as obvious as some of those other ones when we were doing the initial stages, it's still the same concept. You can see how that's, and it's set up right to this area mass. So then I'm going to set the tool right there, and that went
3/4 of the way across.
And took out all that mass and adjusted it to that. See, and then remember what I'd said the other day about those big wide platforms, and you try to hit it and it lips out. And then I proceeded to do what I told you guys not to do.
You're just narrowing it down a little bit.
Well, and this one, the way it's set up, it's a little bit of a scoop right here. So probably what I'll do is just blend that like that. See how it came out there, just enough. Yeah, that's what I'm saying, Travis. When you first came in here, we were having a difference, but that's my thing. I encourage somebody to have a different opinion, but don't be rude about it. I'm not going to sit here and be a jerk and, try to convince you of something that's obvious that you're, that your mind's set to another way. But, I'm not going to waste my time trying to act like that. I just don't understand people like that. Okay, now you can see how this is kind of down this way, and we've got like a little bit of a hollow area, so I'm going to take this and bring this back this way. So it's just flip, 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 flip. But it's about building that convexity, and once you get that, right on, Chris. I appreciate it, man. That's why I've got Justin sitting here in front of me, and he brought some rocks that he was having some trouble getting into, and had some questions on some stuff. And yeah, I'm about to need a coffee refill over here, I believe. And I didn't fill up my carafe this morning because I had company coming over, and I didn't want to hog all the coffee. I'm actually trying to cut down. I've got a bunch of herbal teas on the way. Try to lay off the caffeine a little bit, but all right. See how nice and smooth. Oh, that one lifted a little.
Yep.
Let's see why it did. Right on. Oh, me equals free wants to know what you did with the green porcelainite.
I still have it worked down to a small blade right now. Working on it little by little.
Dennis, thank you for pinning that. I appreciate it. Yeah, and Mike, I've got mine sitting in my my treasure chest. It's my good rock, and I'm gonna do I'm actually hoping to be able to use it on a video. I'm gonna do an instructional video coming up here about a point style, and I haven't decided if I'm going to try to make a fulsome out of it or a Clovis, but I am going to make a nice paleo point out of it, or attempt to, on camera. So I've been saving it for one of those days when I'm just on my game. So, but once I get that I've got some cool stuff in the works, and I'll clue you guys in on it once I get it going. I don't want to tell you my plans and then not have it not work out, but that's what I've got some cool stuff in the works. And since we're making a Dalton, that's not going to hurt us. But what is scary, you see how thin that is. So, so what you're going to want to do is just little bites of that. See how that just kind of feathered into that, and now it's not quite as drastic. I'm going to come a little steeper here. Well, that one's lipping too. This is tough material. Well, that was a good flake right there for what we were needing.
Yeah, it was like the lighter I hit on it, the more trouble that it would give me, and I'd have to get a little aggressive with it.
Yeah, and that's the thing is this, when you get a good quality raw material, you can actually hit it a little bit harder, and it will take those, you know, that, unlike what that guy was saying a while ago, he doesn't know his rock. There's a reason why the Dalton culture like this raw Burlington is because this raw stone is tough. And it would last for an extended period of time as a tool. And see all those aren't big flakes that I'm taking. I'm not trying to clear out a bunch of stuff. When I make it through, I gave away and sold all my crystals and rocks, but kept 2 pieces. Oh, well, thank you so much, Mike. You don't have to do that. I know you've been going through it, but I appreciate you. I don't know if she saw what happened. She had some rig issues and got blown engine and stuff.
Oh,
and
no.
was stranded in Arizona for like 9 days.
Oh, gosh. I didn't know that.
See there? So now we're... Well, guys, this is really working out nice. This is going to make a killer Dalton. Because now I can start. I've got my thickness set, and now I start working my margins. I'm not going to try to thin at this point until I reset all the convexities. So, just gonna. Now, I believe that these would have been used all the way through this process. Like that right there is a scraper camp knife cutting tool, and as it's dulled from use, it makes it perfect to set up to do the next pass of flakes. And you can see how this is a little flat and undercut, and we've got more mass over here. We're gonna, our point lies somewhere like this, so this is a little bit of extra material. I'm just gonna see those little flakes coming off. It's almost like, see how that beveled that whole edge? It's not grinding, it's taking those flakes. Yeah. And there's a difference. Everybody thinks I'm grinding when I'm doing that, and what I'm doing is just pushing those little flakes off. Thank you, Travis. Yeah, it's working down really well, guys. I mean, I was showing Justin, I've been working on doing some thin stuff. And this one's one, it's about to disappear when you turn it sideways. Then this is some of my local stuff. Little biface there that's yep, just moving that edge. See, you can see how that's those 3 points, and these are all, they're not finished yet. So that's part of the same technique that I'm using here, or going to use. But now with a Dalton, once I get my thickness established, I don't want to go any thinner. I'm wanting to build convexity so that my last series of flakes is that they're pretty thin, Dennis. This one right here, this one, it's the closest to being finished, and it's, I don't know, it's probably maybe 3 millimeters thick. Gabrielle, I'm using this is Reed Springs or Burlington Chert. Yeah, this thing is going to be very similar, but I got to be careful now at this point to not get it too thin because of the point style. So now I'm just going to come in off this edge, and I'm not pushing in. I'm just making contact and pulling down until that flake releases. There we go. See how that, and it's keeping the convexity. If you try to go in too much, you're going to end up with those step fractures there. Gabrielle, it's difficult, but it's just like any other skill. If you spend some time with it, I mean, I say it all the time, but every one of us that's sitting here watching this or talking or whatever else, our ancestors did it. Every race, everybody on the face of the earth, if you're a human being, your ancestors shaped stone by chipping it. So I encourage you, if you're interested in trying it, there's a lot of information out there. A lot of places, YouTube, there's just so many resources now that weren't available a few years ago. So I definitely would encourage you to look into that. There's publications and archaeological papers and stuff like that. It's what Justin and I are going to look at some stuff like that today too, after we get off the live and talk about some of that stuff. But yeah, I would encourage you, if you want to learn to do it, man, now is the time. See, I like that pop like that, because that's when it just releases it, and usually you get the best removal that way. Well, thank you, Zach. I appreciate it. Well, guys, that's I'm trying to help inspire and show people. Well, guys, that's I'm trying to help inspire and show people. Well, guys, that's I'm trying to help inspire and show people. Well, guys, that's I'm trying to help inspire and show people.